Men who have adopted a country, who resided in it in these many generations, who even in the restraint of particular laws which abridged their civil rights were so attached to it they preferred being debarred from the advantages common to all other citizens rather than leave it, cannot but consider themselves as, yeah, you're right, these answers are very good, cannot but consider themselves as Frenchmen in France, and they consider as equally sacred and honorable the duty of defending their country. Well, that's said in no uncertain words. Jeremiah, so they then quote some religious precedent, exhorted the Jews to consider Babylon their country and remain, and so on and so forth. So he gives them historical material. Finally, love of country is in the heart of Jews, so natural, so powerful, so consonant to their religious beliefs that a French Jew considers himself in England as among strangers, although he may be among Jews. And in the case is the same with English Jews in France. To such a pitch is this sentiment carried among them that during the last war, French Jews have been fighting desperately against other Jews, the subject of countries then at war with France. Many of them are covered with honorable wounds. Others have obtained the field of honor and noble rewards of bravery. So Jews fought in Napoleon's armies. And they're saying that. Who named the rabbis? Since the revolution, the majority chiefs of families names the rabbis, wherever there is sufficient number of Jews to maintain them. What police jurisdiction do the rabbis exercise? Rabbis exercise no police jurisdiction among Jews at all.
And these must obviously be kind of authoritarian questions, like the French want to know who's going to have authority.
Yeah, sure. They want to know who's, where, right. Does the rabbis have any competitive authority or not? And then they go on and look at them. They go on about the history of rabbis. Qualification of rabbi is nowhere to be found in the law of Moses. Doesn't even exist. It's a new thing that has to do with Talmudic law. It has something to do with the law of Moses. Didn't exist in the first temple. Only starts to become very great historical insight. That's why I urge you. I can't read everything myself, but I urge you to read it. I mean, you'll learn a lot about Judaism here, like he said. Very impressive. It's only in the Mishnah and the Talmud and a little bit in the New Testament that the word rabbi is found for the first time applied to a doctor of the law. When the Israelites were totally dispersed, they formed small communities where they were allowed to settle. Sometimes in such circumstances, a rabbi and some other learned people formed a tribunal called a Beit Din. That is a house of justice. The rabbi fulfilled the function of judge and others too as his assessors. Since the revolution, these rabbinical tribunals are totally suppressed in France and in Italy, because the French have taken over Italy. And so on. That's really good history here. In a place where there are no rabbis, the Jews who is best instructed in religion may, that's why I like documents, I think they're really good, may according to law impart the marriage benediction without the assistance of a rabbi. So that eighth question gives you the whole history of rabbis among Jews. By the way, you guys that took my ethnic diversity class, I hope these subjects interest you. I mean, these are different from that course, and much more specialized, but I hope we didn't drag you into an area that you feel a little bit out of interest spectrum. So this is adequate for you guys to understand. Okay, in places where there are no rabbis, we already did that. Ninth question. Anyway, the answer to this one, are there forms of election, police judicial jurisdiction regulated by law, or only sanctioned by customs? And they say there's only custom does anything in this area. There's nothing in the law about this. What about usury? A question that was interesting, worrying some of you guys. Deuteronomy says, thou shalt not lend interest to your brother. That's what you were worried about. So here's the answer. I mean, let's see what they say. The word neshek has been improperly translated. Oh, we're getting a very pilpullish answer here, right? Very getting down to definitions of words here. In the Hebrew, it means interest of any kind, not usurious interest. So you see, usury they're saying is different from interest. And they give you a whole spiel here, right? So I think your question is being answered here. What do you, since you're the one who was interested in the subject, what do you think of their answer here?
I think they're kind of dividing it to their own
Yeah, interest.
interests.
Of course, they're doing
And
everything.
they're trying to back themselves up, and they're like
Absolutely.
evading the honest truth.
And there you said, by the sabbatical year, all debtors were released from their obligations. The year of Jubilee brought with it the restitution of all estates sold or mortgaged. So you have it there. So what's there, so what, how do they get around that one? Is it clear here from this answer how they get around that one? That's in the 5th or 6th paragraph there. The first thought, the end of that paragraph, the first thought. They said the sabbatical, so they cover your point. So I think they're talking about different forms of usury is one thing, interest is another thing, and they got a long answer here. The prohibition of Moses, here's the conclusion, must therefore be considered only a principle of charity and not a commercial regulation. Okay? I don't know how they got here. This is the few Jews in the room know this word who are familiar with the rabbinic activity. It's called pilpul. It's characterized as discussions in rabbinic academies. It literally means pepper. And it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, finding the way out of an argument by finding the, pilpul to get out of the argument in the best way you can, really, through back and forth argumentation. And this is a pilpul-esque type argument here, I think. I don't know how they came up with it. And probably it works. They wouldn't have used it if it didn't work. So very, very well, and I urge you to read it. I don't think we need to know it perfectly, but it is, you were interested in the subject. So the word usury can no longer express the meaning of the Hebrew text. So the Bible of this other fellow's translation, Osterwald, and that of the Portuguese Jews call interest that which Sayce, another translator from the Vulgate, call usury. So they're really getting into word definitions here. If the remnants of the people now scattered among the nations, last paragraph of that section, are attentively considered, it will be seen that since the Jews have been driven from Palestine, they no longer have a common country. They no longer have had to maintain among them the primeval equality of property. So I guess they're kind of saying they don't have to follow those laws with fellow Jews since they've been driven out of Palestine. I guess maybe that's what they're saying, yeah.
If that was the final argument, then...
Of that particular question.
Right. Then now that Jews have their own country back, do they...
They have a civil code. They have a civil code. They've gone all the way.